إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونستهديه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا وسيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدًا عبده ورسوله أما بعد أيها الناس فإن أصدق الكلام كتاب الله وخير الهدى هدى محمد صلى الله عليه وآله وصحبه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. O you who have attained faith, be Allah conscious. Have awe and reverence in your hearts for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in a way that is worthy of who He is, of His glory and majesty, of His names and attributes, of His innumerable grace and bounties, and die not except in a state of Islam. Die not except in a state of loving surrender of our spirits and souls, of our hearts and minds, of our words and deeds, under all circumstances, all in loving surrender to Him subhanahu wa ta'ala. For it is indeed in that loving surrender to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we discover our true liberties and our true freedom, that we will attain our true and most noble happiness in this world and most importantly in the hereafter. And it is because of that aim and purpose that Allah Azza wa Jalla, who created us, taught us. He did not leave us to our own efforts only. Efforts are required, but He showed us the way to liberation, the way to happiness. And so many are those means in that way that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala assigned to us. First of all, to witness and to testify from heart and mind first, and then through words and deeds, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is one, that God is one, and He has no equal, no like, no comparison, no partner, no associate, in any sense of the word. And that we devoutly and sincerely turn our spirits and souls, minds and hearts lovingly to live that and to actualize that. And then He subhanahu wa ta'ala, through salah, through sawm, through zakah, through sadaqah, through dhikr, through patience, through forbearance, through forgiveness, through justice, through benevolence, through magnanimity, through humility, through humbleness, all of these are the ways by which to liberate ourselves and to free ourselves by connecting in a stronger way to Him subhanahu wa ta'ala. And of those means is al-Hajj, the performance of Hajj, which is called, loosely translated, as pilgrimage to the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because that is the intended destination. And through Hajj, we are liberated. Through Hajj, we are freed. Through Hajj, we are, walhamdulillah, by His grace, forgiven dhunub and sins that are the source of our chaining, that are the source of our pain, that are the source of our ignorance, that are the source of our misery in this world and in the hereafter. For He, sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam, teaches us, man hajja فلم يرفث ولم يفسق رجع كيوم ولدته أمه. He who or she who performs Hajj and does not practice during that Hajj anything that is displeasing to Allah, that is haram, that is wicked, that is whimsical, that is prohibited, and so on, he or she will come back from that Hajj journey as though newly born, as though today his mother or her mother gave birth to them. To be liberated and freed from dhunub, to be liberated and freed from the whispers and the influences of shaitan inside of us as though we were just born. A freedom. And to help us connect in a stronger way to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And in that journey we discover and we see and we learn and we experience each one in accordance to his or her level of readiness, his or her level of receptibility inside of him or her. He or she will discover of the special grace and bounty of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in that journey as is intended for him or her. لِيَشْهَدُوا مَنَافِعَ لَهُمْ, says Allah Azza wa Jal, in order that they witness benefits that are theirs. Each one has his or her own, and each one shall see, shall discover, shall experience of that which is his or hers to the degree they are prepared, to the degree they are ready to receive. كل يكشف له من منافعه يشهدها حسب استعداداته داخل قلبه وداخل روحه وداخل نفسه بل وداخل سره. Each one would discover depending on their levels of readiness. So as we leave already, as you leave that journey and you prepare and you wash and you cleanse, you are leaving, and some would experience that the fact that I'm leaving home, I'm going away, I'm leaving behind me that which is of this world, even legitimate, which even legitimate for most of us, keep us chained from truly journeying and roaming freely with our spirits towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, children, resources, wealth, job, work, fears, hopes, desires, whims. We break from that first and we leave muhajirina ilallahi, ila baytillahi subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we leave as though departing away, as though in an act of migration away from that which holds us and restricts us to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that journey depicts and symbolizes this break up, this liberation that I do voluntarily and deliberately from that which daily holds me back from truly and more vigorously and more passionately orient myself and direct myself towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. For inside of me, because of that which holds me, there is so much noise, there is so much suggestion inside of me, there is so much other distractions, there are so much other concerns that keep me in the gaze of my heart and the orientation of my heart not directly towards Allah Azza wa Jal. So Allah, through this journey, tells you, break up and leave everything. And then be in ihram. Enter the state of haram. Enter the sanctuary through the state of ihram. Ihram, which means al-habs wa ta'til, which means to withhold and to restrain and to impose something and to restrict something and to jail something and to incapacitate something. That ihram means now, as I'm truly in this journey, I first begin to incapacitate so many things inside of me by doing things externally, by removing that which daily I feel very important, and I buy with money and I buy the best clothes for me and my children, so that to learn that first of all, that's the first thing to remove. That's the first occupation to remove. That I should learn through Hajj to live a life not controlled by my desire to dress this way and that way. And that the most beautiful dress is not what I buy with expensive money from the expensive stores, but that seamless garment without sleeves and without joints and without legs. That's all I need in my life. And I can live all of that in my life if I wished, if I could. And that the most beautiful thing is not that even, but the taqwa inside of you. وَتَزَوَّدُوا فَإِنَّ خَيْرَ الزَّادِ التَّقْوَى, as Allah says to us about Hajj itself. And تَزَوَّدُوا, take your provisions with you in this journey. And He says, and the best of provision is taqwa, Allah consciousness. The best of garment is the garment of taqwa, as Allah teaches us in Surah Al-A'raf. وَلِبَاسُ التَّقْوَى ذَلِكَ خَيْرٌ. And that's how it begins. And I begin to disengage, not putting perfumes, not smelling perfumes, not killing animals, not killing birds, not killing insects, not killing anything, not removing and destroying vegetations that is natural in nature in the haram of Mecca and Medina. I begin to withhold, to restrain first. I begin to set a greater objective. And I begin to learn through that restriction to restrict my heart, my nafs, my mind, my drives, personal and collective, vis-a-vis Allah, vis-a-vis other creatures of Allah Azza wa Jal, that I hide, those drives that I hide, I learn to control them and I learn to align them in an innocent, simple way with Allah's desire and Allah's law and Allah's commands to free me and to liberate me. Al-Ihram. Al-Ihram. It has a meaning, very powerful meaning. And then with that comes At-Talbiyah. Labbaik Allahumma labbaik. And then I utter the drive inside of me of the objective of my journey. I say it and I keep saying it throughout my journey of Hajj until I get to the house of Allah Azza wa Jal. Ultimately, here I come to you, my Lord. Here I come to you and to you alone, without any partner, i.e. without any other reason, without any other desire, without any other drive inside of me. Nothing inside of me, nothing outside of me shall keep me from focusing on you, shall distract me. No matter what as I travel, no matter what I see, what I hear, what I experience, I will not turn my attention to it. It will not distract me from this journey. Labbaik Allahumma labbaik. Labbaik la sharika lak. Labbaik, nothing. If people hurt me, people abuse me, people show excess to me, if they violate my rights, if I am going to walk to you, I'm not going to turn to anything, not only idols and other gods that are worshipped by others, wal-iyad billah, but also the God inside of me. God inside of me, my drives, my passions, my nafs. I will not see it, I will not give attention to it. Only you, Ya Allah. Labbaik Allahumma labbaik. No matter what. And that helps me now in my journey in life to project that on my journey in life towards Allah Azza wa Jal, with my mind and with my heart and with my nafs and with myself, that I learn through this period of Hajj to free and liberate myself from the concerns and the fears and the distractions in my way to you, as though I am always in talbiyah and I don't pay attention to them. Allah, what a beautiful thing to teach us. But again, as I said, each one will discover, will see, will benefit of all of that, depending on their level of readiness. Manafi'a لهم ليشهدوا منافع لهم. Each one his own, and each one will discover of what is his own. ما قضى الله له في سابق الأجل. He or she will discover that which is already decided for them, but each one in accordance to their readiness. So that talbiyah is very meaningful, and I keep doing that no matter what I see. I'm not going to be concerned with, seeing food, with seeing people in conflict. I'm not going to be in conflict with them. I'm not going to reciprocate harm with harm. I'm going to be enjoying and accelerating my drive until through that Hajj of journey, even at one point perhaps Allah will grace me with being so connected with Him that I after that don't notice anything else. Except in profound internal joy and drive and peace inside of me. And perhaps then my eyes cannot stop crying. My heart cannot stop longing until I finally get to His house. And that means until in my journey of life, until I finally encounter Him as Zawj. And then I go in that hal, I go in that state, and imagine that state continuing, labbaik Allahumma labbaik, in the plane, in the car, in the bus, walking, and in that hal, regardless of what others do or don't do, if I am in that true ihram, in that true talbiyah, until I am in Arafat, because that's where Hajj begins. We're going to assume that's where we start, because that's what Hajj officially begins. Al-Hajj Arafat. Of what it means is that that's where it begins. That's where it starts. And it starts at Arafat with the hundreds of thousands, if not millions, a couple of millions of people from all earth. All have come for the same purpose, and each one different inside of him or her in terms of the level of his or her readiness, in terms of the level of his or her receptibility, and therefore would discover and would feel dependent on that hal. And there, Allah Azza wa Jal has invited His ibad to do what? To cleanse themselves. Because they are on the way to His house. He is the host, subhanahu wa ta'ala, the host of hosts, subhanahu wa ta'ala, and He's hosting us to His house on this earth that symbolizes His rahmah to give us, so that He pours upon us of His love and mercy. But before we get to His house, we have to be clean. We have to cleanse. You don't go to the host's house without being ready, without being prepared, without being clean, without wearing in this dunya what you think is best for that occasion. So at Arafat, it's not about wearing clothes, for the clothes are no clothes, seamless clothes, simplicity, taqwa. Then we come there in Arafat to wash our dhunub that are stinking. And if you were a wali or an angel, perhaps you would smell with the nose of your soul the stench coming from me and you and her and them of dhunub, of sins, of major sins and of minor sins, and of forms, even though minor, of shirk wal-iyad billah, and of kufr asghar, if not akbar, mukhrij min al-millah. We would smell the stench. We would look at the stain. If we had spiritual rays that our spiritual eyes use to see, we would discover the stench. The station in Arafat is for ta'rif. With ta'rif min al-araf. Al-araf means beautiful scent. We are there to wash and to put on a scent, a spiritual scent. We are there to implore Allah Azza wa Jal to wash us from our dhunub, to forgive us. That's why when Allah wills, the angels are so amazed that they celebrate this gathering in their own hyper space and time. They celebrate these gatherings. And Shaitan, as Rasulullah tells us, on that day is most despised, is lowest, is smallest, is most ridiculed, is most angry at the fact that the rahmah, the merciful love, and the loving mercy of Allah Azza wa Jal encompasses on that day everyone. When Shaitan sees and knows how much Allah had and shows on that day in store of His rahmah for His ibad, of how much He forgives subhanahu wa ta'ala for those who come there sincerely and devoutly, how much He forgives, how much He has washed of the stain and the stench that we came wearing on that day, at that moment, on that land. And that is the tarif. And that is Arafat, is a washing station. So as you stand there from the moment of after midday, when the heat of the sun is intense, to perhaps symbolizes the heat and the flame that I came with of dhunub inside of me, of arrogance, of delusion, and of past dhunub, of using my eyes and my ears and my tongue and my legs and my sexual drives and my stomach and my thoughts in ways that are ugly. And that represents a heat burning me inside, Jahannam inside of me. On that moment I shall enter Arafat in resonance with what I have come with of baggage of hell, and I stay there under the scorching heat and sun, raising my hands, crying sincerely to be washed from my dhunub, to be forgiven, and I remain there until, as Rasulullah did, until after the sun had set. Subhanallah, after the sun had set. And therefore the flame and the heat of the sun is gone. And at the end of the day of Arafat, only then you begin to leave. That means, inshaAllah, the flame and the heat of dhunub that I came with inside of me now is extinguished. And stay there until that happens, symbolizing that. And then, now you can begin to draw closer to the house of Allah Azza wa Jal. تَزْدَلِفُ ازْدِلَافًا. You get closer to Muzdalifah, the place of nearness, because one more station, and then another one, and you are in the Haram. And as I move to Muzdalifah, after having washed in Arafat, and therefore in Arafat, when you go to Hajj and when we go to Hajj, I remind myself and you, however many times Allah will grace us of performing that, please don't do like many of us do and many of us do or don't. Don't pay attention to those who smoke and those who eat profusely and those who talk and those who... La ilaha illallah. As I said many times, and I remind myself and you, and as it is said, to perform Hajj is one thing, to come back with a Hajj Mabrur is another. And Hajj Mabrur has no other reward except paradise, Jannah. And if I end there, and I have washed sincerely and truly, and have focused from, again, and my talbiyah continues, and my dua continues, and my pleading continues, and my tears continues, and my heart's tears continue. If I did that, then inshallah, I'm one of those to be forgiven. For one of the Salihun, Sayyiduna Abu Sulaiman al-Darani, in one of his Hajjah, as he was in Mecca, first when he arrived, and he was laying down at night, resting under the open, beautiful sky of 14 centuries ago or 13 centuries ago Mecca, when it used to be what it used to be. And then as a wali wa alim min awliya illah min ulama'i hadhihi al-ummah, very famous scholar and saint of this ummah, as he was between wakefulness and sleep, he saw right where he was laying down next somewhere to the Kaaba, he saw descending from the sky two angels, one talking to the other and therefore informing him in this way. One said to the other, how many Muslims will come to Hajj this year? The other one responded, 600,000. Then the other one asked, how many have been granted Hajj Mabrur? He said, 6. He said, and I woke up Maghraoui, terrorized, afraid. That wali said, I can never be one of those 6. In Arafat, we made ourselves known to the angels. The angels were made to know us by Allah Azza wa Jal. And we were made to know ourselves in Arafat. We were made to know our dhunub. We were made to discover them. We were made to implore Allah Azza wa Jal, recognizing and confessing to our dhunub, not being there arrogantly and with a mind that is negligent and distracted. Then we were made to know ourselves. And if that happened, then we go now, we wash, we are closer to the house of Allah in Muzdalifah. Now we are closer to Allah Azza wa Jal. I'm sorry, to the house of Allah Azza wa Jal. And we rest and we sleep and we prepare and we prepare and we prepare. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, it is said, in that night, he implored Allah Azza wa Jal. In some hadith, some ulama differ about its level of authenticity, but it is beautiful meaning. That he, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, was sitting and then he smiled and laughed joyfully. And he was told, Ya Rasulullah, by Sayyidina Umar, I think, radiallahu ta'ala anhu, or Sayyidina Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, Ya Rasulullah, I didn't see you these days in this hal, in this state. Now you did. He said, why not? He said, in Arafat, Allah Azza wa Jalla promised me to forgive my ummah, those who come to that Hajj, all their sins. In their relationship with me, the sins they have committed in their relationship with me. But he did not allow to forgive the sins in relationship with the rights of other creatures. And I implored Allah to do both. And it was not granted to me on Arafat. He said, he granted it to me here. He said, he granted that wish to me here on Muzdalifah. This Rasul who loves his ummah pleaded that they be forgiven, those who came, even the sins they committed towards one another, if they came with sincerity. And when Fajr comes, now they move to Muna. It's called Muna or Mina, mostly Muna. And Muna is the plural of Munya, which means wish, desire. Why Muna is Muna? Because there the desire, the wish of the pilgrim of the Hajj to draw near to the house of Allah Azza wa Jal, to enter his haram and to be forgiven sins has been granted. Second, it is said that there in Muna, and when you come there you feel that, you want to feel that Adam, our father, alayhi salam, was brought to earth and he came to that part for that type of Hajj. There, تمنى أن يعود إلى أصله, تمنى الجنة. There he wished he were home in Jannah. He desired home. He desired Jannah. So it is called Muna. And it is there we desire Jannah. We desire to connect with Allah Azza wa Jal very, very sincerely and very strongly. And we are given the opportunity now to draw nearer to His house. Subhanahu wa ta'ala. أقول قولي هذا أستغفر الله العظيم لي ولكم فاستغفروه طوبى للمستغفرين. الحمد لله وكفى وصلى الله على عباده الذين اصطفى. And when we are in Muna, we have drawn nearer. Allah still has not allowed us to enter His house. Not yet. We are cleaning. We are cleaning. Now we're drawing nearer. Then He tells us to throw the jamarat first. And casting the pebbles at shaitan. Each pebble I cast, which is a pebble. And Rasulullah said, don't be excessive. You know, don't be excessive. Just anything little. And you're casting it, quote unquote, at shaitan. In other words, if you are filled with tawheed, if you are cleansed from dhunub as it should be, as cleansed as possible, if you have drawn nearer to Allah Azza wa Jal, a pebble can destroy shaitan's power. A pebble, a little thing, can destroy all the power, the fiery power. Shaitan is a fire, the fiery power of shaitan. A pebble coming from a hand, the body of which, the heart of which, the mind of which is in tawheed of Allah Azza wa Jal, and away from dhunub. And you cast that pebble. And at the same time, we are making a pledge in this journey towards the house of Allah Azza wa Jal, and by extension in our life, the journey of our life to Allah Azza wa Jal, we're making a pledge that we are casting shaitan from our lives, from our hearts. We cast shaitan. Bismillah, Allahu Akbar. Bismillah, Allahu Akbar. I cast shaitan. And I make a pledge after that cleansing. Now, Allah has forgiven my dhunub, has drawn me near. I thank you, Allah, here. Shaitan is out. I make my pledge forever to you. Now we are closer. Now I have to do another thing. I have to slaughter the animal. And in slaughtering the animal, I am, in a sense, slaughtering my nafs. Shaitan, now I reject it from my life. My nafs remains. Then I slaughter my nafs. Bismillah, Allahu Akbar. Again, the desires of my nafs, the whims of my nafs, the priorities of my nafs, the likes of my nafs, the preferences of my nafs. I make a pledge to Allah for that action. Like Ibrahim alayhi salam, when he was ordered to slaughter his son, the essence is to slaughter the remainder of whatever remained of his own will and desire inside of him that is other than Allah, even if it were his most beloved son. But for us, it's about dhunub. For us, it's about major dhunub. For us, it's about major, perhaps, and mostly minor shirk that we are making that sacrifice. Ya Allah, I slaughter my nafs. I slaughter my nafs. I leave from here and I pray that I have no will except yours. No choice except yours, because all of that stems from my nafs. No love except yours. No hate except by you. Nothing. I slaughter that. And I see it. Bismillah, Wallahu Akbar. Ibrahim alayhi salam ordered to do that, symbolizing that he is slaughtering everything inside of him. That's why Allah tells him, as he was about to do that to his son, in other words, obeying Allah fully to the fullest extent at every level, and ya Ibrahim, وَقَدْ صَدَّقْتَ الرُّؤْيَا, Ibrahim, you have fulfilled our command in that vision. Said, killed it, and that's what we wanted. We wanted to free you, to liberate you from everything so that I can give you, Allah is as though saying, so that I can give you me. Then you have me, you have Allah Azza wa Jal, you have eternal beauty inside of you. And you have eternal, infinite freedom inside of you. You have removed everything of the created world except Him. So I slaughter the animal, my nafs. And then, as an act before and once I do that, still I'm not allowed to have a sexual relationship with my spouse. Without my spouse, of course, any basic Muslim knows it is always haram and ugly. We cannot do that, still not yet. Many ulama say you can't even wear perfume after that, even. Not yet. But shave your head. Shave your head. Allah and His Rasul, knowing how much nafs we have inside of us and how much we like to be seen, for many don't shave, many only trim. And He says it's okay to trim. Those who trim have not fully rejected the nafs totally yet. Those who shave, especially those who think we have a nice hair and we like it to be seen. And I don't want it, I don't want to go back. No. The nafs requires remove it all. There is no desire except Him. The nafs is slaughtered. So to show that, shave the top of your head. The top of your head. SubhanAllah. And then when that is done, with sincerity, with devotion, with awareness, with consciousness, then now we are ready to be received at the house of Allah Azza wa Jal. For what? That is called, when we go to the house of Allah, and I'm going to close with this, that is called what? Tawaful Ifada. Finally, we get to the house of Allah Azza wa Jal. Finally, for what? For Ifada. What is Ifada? Literally, it means to pour upon you. للإفاضة مش إفاضة انتهيت للإفاضة أفاض يفيض. In other words, so that Allah, as He receives you now, you're ready and clean, so that He pours upon you of His rahmah, of His gifts. يفيض عليك من رحماته وجوده وكرمه وعفوه ورفعه إياك وتقريبه إياك منه سبحانه وتعالى. يفيض عليك من بركاته سبحانه وتعالى. So we go to the house of Allah Azza wa Jal to receive now our gifts. My dear brothers and sisters, we are conducting also this weekend sort of a seminar on Hajj, and we'll continue this weekend on Friday and Sunday to share more with you, inshallah ta'ala, about this. And I hope that I and you not forget this obligation of Hajj. Most of the ulama say that Hajj is obligatory upon me and you once we become able to. واجب على الفور ليس على التراخي. In accordance to the majority of the ulama, once, let's say we have enough money, once we have a visa, once we can, once, we must not delay to next year or until I grow older or until I buy a house or until I pay the college for my children or no. When it's time, it's obligatory. Immediately. And if I die without having performed that Hajj, in accordance with the majority of the ulama, and if I die and have not performed that Hajj while I was able to, but I was delaying it for the sake of convenience, then I die having committed a serious sin, a serious dam in disobeying Allah Azza wa Jal, and depriving myself from these many benefits that Allah Azza wa Jal has in store for His ibad who come to His house. اللهم اجعلنا من الذين يستمعون القول فيتبعون احسنه. اللهم اهدنا واهد بنا واجعلنا هادين مهديين غير ضالين ولا مضلين لا مبدلين ولا مغيرين. اللهم طهر قلوبنا، اللهم آمن روعاتنا واستر عوراتنا واصلح ذات بيننا. اللهم انصر الإسلام وأعز المسلمين. اللهم انصر من نصر الدين واخذل من خذل الدين. اللهم من أراد الإسلام والمسلمين بسوء فرده عليه. اللهم من كاد الإسلام والمسلمين فرد كيده عليه. اللهم اجعلنا هادين مهديين غير ضالين ولا مضلين لا ظالمين ولا مظلومين لا مبدلين ولا مغيرين يا أرحم الراحمين يا رب العالمين. اللهم اشف مرضانا وارحم موتانا. اللهم آمن روعاتنا واستر عوراتنا واصلح ذات بيننا. اللهم إنا نجعلك في نحور المنافقين والصادين عن سبيلك في كل مكان والظالمين والمفسدين. اللهم إنا نجعلك في نحورهم ونعوذ بك من شرورهم. اللهم اشف مرضانا، اللهم اشف مرضانا، اللهم اشف مرضانا وارحم موتانا يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم اشف بدر الحسن واشف سليمة واشف عائشة واشف عبد الرحمن واشف شرف الدين. اللهم اشف أختنا the mother-in-law of Dr. Zahid who is ill. Please keep her in your dua. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give her shifa, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give them and give us satisfaction with His qada, with His decree, with His destiny subhanahu wa ta'ala. عباد الله إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. قوموا إلى صلاتكم يرحمكم الله.
الله أكبر الله